Welcome to Aussie Sidecar Stories. Brad Gorrie joins me for this episode, and it's a really cool chat that starts off here in Australia, but we get an insight into international racing because Brad got a couple of call-ups to go and race overseas in German championships in the UK and Britain, all sorts of racing abroad. Unfortunately, some injuries have hampered his career, but it's still a really cool chat about a bunch of different periods of outfits, period 3, 4, 5, and F1s and F2s, and what it's like being a passenger doing all of those sorts of things. If you like what we're doing here at Aussie Sidecar Stories, would really appreciate it if you jump on and subscribe on your podcast listening platforms, put the auto downloads on, get notifications, all of that kind of thing really helps other people see what we're doing and bumps us up in the stats on those platforms. Also follow us on social media. There's some pretty cool new stuff that I'm working on in the background that I would really love everyone to be a part of.
Whether it's road, dirt, or cross country, there's no better feeling at a racetrack than the sight, the sound, and the excitement of a sidecars race. The Aussie Sidecar Stories podcast is here to share the stories of the people who live and breathe this wild sport. From the riders and passengers to committee members and volunteers, it takes a village to keep sidecar racing alive, and we want to welcome you in by sharing their stories.
Welcome to Aussie Sidecar Stories, Brad. I'm looking forward to chatting with you. It sounds like you've got quite the list of stories to tell.
I do have a few stories I could share for sure. Lots and lots of racing over the years. So,
well, yeah. and it sounds like a bit of here, there, and everywhere, which is what we love. But we'll go back to the beginning. You said sidecar racing's in your blood from your parents. How did it all begin?
Yeah, that's right. My dad, Doug, has raced for over 50 years, I think, on a Period 3 BSA sidecar, the same sidecar. It's not running at the moment. We blew it up a year or two ago, but he's done it forever. He's probably raced with a lot of people out there over the years. And my mum also had to go for a bit back in the late 80s. Yeah, but she fell off and broke her ankle, so typical passenger, falling off all the time.
A bit hypocritical since you're a passenger as well.
Yeah, I fall off a bit too. We'll get to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So you grew up as a pit kid. What are some of your early memories? Because around South Australia where you were based.
No, I'm down in Vic. So we spent me and my brother. We both went to the track only a couple of weeks after we were born, and watching Dad and all the boys race, like Dave Large and Max Hooper and the Trounsons and all those guys on the road racing, I should say.
Yep.
But some of the good memories were down at Winton, just riding our BMX bikes around, watching the old boys race around and just waiting really till we could have a go. But that was good. Quite a few kids probably remember the BMX days down at Winton, building bike jumps down the back of the track and that all the races were on.
There was something truly special about tracks in the 90s because we had Amaroo here in New South Wales and it was great. It had a little park and you just hung out. Kids were let run free a lot.
That's right. We all had our little superheroes, our riders that we used to watch, and we'd stuff around and annoy everyone on our BMXs.
Did you guys travel interstate much at all with your dad, or did you mostly stay in Victoria? Because there are a couple of tracks down there still.
We did a bit at Mount Gambier, from memory, when we were younger. It was mainly Winton, Broadford. I vaguely remember some Calder Park when I was younger. Historic Winton was the main one that stands out the most. That was the big event when everyone was there and it was quite good, hanging out with everyone. So it's probably the main one that I remember, and hanging out at Mount Gambier a bit too at Mac Park.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I didn't even think until you mentioned the Larges, of course, we're talking Victorian road race, and that's another one of those families that's just been around for forever.
They have, and they're still going, and there's still got more coming into it. It's great.
It really is, because sidecars are definitely one of those things that it's in your blood. And you said you and your brother were just absolutely hanging until it was your time. Now, is your brother older or younger than you?
So I got a younger brother. He's 3 years younger. And my dad, actually, when we were kids at Winton and Broadford, decided he'd build us a sidecar. So we got an old BMX frame and an old steel shopping trolley, and he cut the handles and everything off, and he cut up a golf cart and he hooked it all together, and a 16-inch wheel front forks off a 16-inch BMX and put that for the side wheel. And my brother's always been a bit more solid than me, so he chose to ride it and I chose to sit on the side. And it's what we do now on the F2 as well. Stuart rides it and I hang on the side. He tried passengering a couple of times, but he preferred to ride the thing. And I've just ended up passengering all the time and sort of haven't broke into riding myself just yet, but we'll get there one day, I think.
Please tell me you've got some photos of that
I've
dirt
still
track.
got it.
Dirt.
It's
Oh,
up at the farm. Yeah, it's up at the farm in the shed. Yeah, going to hang it up on the wall. Just I'll find another wheel for it, so it's back to sort of original. But yeah, we've still got the bike. We'll never get rid of that. That was the first one we had as kids. So
That's really cool. And I love
yeah,
that kind of ingenuity where it was like, yeah, let's just whack something together and shut the kids up for a bit, keep them occupied.
yeah, that's right. That's it.
So did you jump on sidecars before your brother was old enough, or did you wait until he was old enough to start together?
I did. So I spent most of my younger days racing BMX everywhere, all around the place. Did overseas world championships, all that sort of thing. And then my brother took to classic scrambles. So my mum would take me one way for BMX, and Dad would take Stuart to classic scrambles, and that's sort of how we did it until I was 16. My first race meeting was on Dad's sidecar at Geelong Sprints. It was like the Geelong Sprints revival because it stopped for a number of years. So that was my first meeting at the Geelong Sprints, which is pretty much a straight line or just a bit of a banana bend in it, just a quarter mile sort of thing. And that was my first one. Stuart didn't really, I don't think he got on till his mid-20s. He got a period 3 sidecar and he started having a go on that with one of his mates from school. Jumped on the side and they stuffed around a little bit on that. And I still didn't do too much until we got a Honda Force. Stuart and I drove up to Goulburn, and it was Laurie Nichols, I think, had a period 4 Honda sidecar for sale, and we got that. And we started racing on that a little bit. But sort of, I actually went to the track. We're at Broadford. Stuart was riding it. We're doing a bit of passengering, and we're just sort of nutting the thing out. And Terry Goldie was there, and I'm pretty sure the bike he had may have been Nick Crow's old bike from over at the Isle of Man, I think.
And, look, they end up so interconnected. It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah, they go. Well, we end up with a few of them over here, I guess. There's a few old TT bikes and that hovering around the joint. Our F2's an old TT bike. But Terry was there, and Terry needed a passenger. And Chrissy Clancy said, why don't you jump on with Terry? So, I jumped on. And, I had to go on the F2, and that was the first time I'd been on a modern. Up until that, I'd done a few classic races with my dad on the P3. We're trying to nut out this P4 with my brother. And then, I jumped on with Terry and had a go at that. And then it just sort of went from there. I was sort of finishing up with BMX a little bit and had a few crashes from there. And I got on the F2 sidecar and I thought, oh, this is awesome. It's scary. It's fun. It's fast. It's out of control sometimes. It's smooth. It's awesome. And we did quite well.
And it's very different jumping onto the F2 from the period 3 and the period 4 because they're very different style machines.
They are. The period, well, all sidecars can be a bit unpredictable sometimes, but it was just the speed, I think. I've always wanted to try and go as fast as I can, whether it be a BMX or a mountain bike or a motocross bike or road race bike, whatever. I just want to go fast. It doesn't really matter. And stepping from the P3 to the P4 to the F2, obviously you're going to have that speed.
Oh yeah.
acceleration, the hard braking. Whereas the period 3 will slide a lot more with the front. It'll push wider, and it was just cool. I just loved it. And then it just sort of snowballed from there. I did a few meetings with Terry, and then I was still doing some BMX, and I was actually up in Brisbane racing the Nationals, and I got a phone call off Chris Grubb. And
Yep.
Chris Grubb, I'd grown up watching him forever since I was a kid, and he rang me and he said, "Oh, my mate's coming over from Europe. He wants to grab a new passenger and have a go and maybe go back over racing overseas." I said, "Oh yeah, that sounds pretty cool. I'll give it a go." So it wasn't still for a couple of months, and so I continued on the BMX. Then I was talking to my brother about it. He's like, "Oh yeah, that sounds good." And Stuart knows everyone. If you're in motorsport, everyone knows my brother. Anyway, I was racing. I'd qualified for the BMX Worlds. I'd gone to New Zealand, and had a pretty good meet, but I ended up breaking my foot at the after party. So
Oops.
yeah, we got a bit loose at the after, a bit crazy at the after party, and I ended up tripping on my foot and breaking it. And
At
coming
least it was
home,
after the racing was done.
yeah, coming home in the aeroplane, and we got through customs. And actually, Brian March, he's another Period 3 sidecar guy. He worked for customs. I don't know if he still does, but he was there. And I'm getting wheeled out in this wheelchair. Someone's got my bike bag and all, just trying to get me into the bloody car. And Brian's sitting there going, "What are you doing?" He's like, "What are you going to do in a couple of weeks on this new thing?" And I said, "I don't know. We'll work it out." Anyway, 2 weeks after breaking my foot, I had they had a practice. No, they had a club day at Broadford, and my brother has been like, "Oh, you need to be right for this." Like, and the rider that I was riding with was Adam Treasure, and he's long time sidecar guy as well. And he'd come back, and my brother's like, "Oh, it's Adam, and it's going to be cool," and all this sort of thing. And so we ended up at the club race, and he grabbed his old passenger Darren Dewhurst, and he jumped on and did that, and I rocked up on my crutches. And Adam's like, "Man, who's this guy? Like, he's not going to be able to get on the bike next week." And so Adam did the club day with Darren, and then.
Yep.
The following weekend was the Vic title round, and I just said, "I'll be fine. Like, don't worry about me. I'm not missing out. I'm going to have a go." So I got to the track, and I had a moon boot, and I had crutches and all that sort of stuff, and I had some leathers that I'd borrowed and all that sort of stuff. And I just got the race tape out and the duct tape, and I just taped my foot up with duct tape, made it solid so I could take some pressure through it. And I jumped on the sidecar with Adam, and it was just crazy. It was so much faster than the F2. We ended up breaking lap record the first time I'd been on a Formula One sidecar, which was Terry's lap record that had stood for 14 years. And we broke the lap record at that Vic title. We won the Vic title, and that lap record still stands. And that was in 2013, I think. So,
wow, that's pretty impressive. I mean, there is a bit of a benefit to the fact that it was a foot, and as long as you can brace yourself in the right ways with the rest of your body, your feet are still important, but at least it wasn't a hand or something like that you'd broken.
Yeah, not yet. That came later. But so we did that, and then we had an Australian Championship round down at Phillip Island. We did quite well there. We won that round, and then Adam was like, "Well, do you want to come to Europe?" And I said, "Yeah, no worries, let's do it." So it took a few years after that, because just logistics and money, and we're paying out of our own pocket, and it took ages. The bike was in Australia. We had to get the bike to Europe, and there's just so much happened. So we actually didn't get to Europe till 2018.
Right.
But
what was the thought process behind? Because I know a lot of the guys that go over and race overseas, they'll end up buying a bike over there rather than transporting it. So what was the thought process for you guys behind taking your bike that you knew?
Well, we had a bike that was eligible. Adam had raced in the World Championship on that bike quite a few times. He'd finished top 6 in the world, and the bike had ended up back in Australia. And we thought, well, we'll just take that. I had a customer of mine I'm a sign writer, I run a signage business, and one of my customers has I don't know what you call it, logistics company or transport company or whatever, and he took our bike to Europe for it only cost us about $900.
Oh, that's
So
handy.
as permanent, so it could go and it could stay. It didn't have to come back. So
Yep.
we thought, we'll jump on that. So we got that sorted, and we took the bike there, and that was going to be the race bike. I actually think it might have gone over the year before. Coming to think, it might have gone over a bit earlier. I think 2016 or 17, and we weren't in a rush. It was just one step at a time. Let's just play it safe, and we're paying ourselves, and we just didn't want to rush everything over there. So, but in the meantime, in that gap, I did a lot more on other bikes, and the list is endless of bikes I was asked to ride on. It was just awesome. I did period 3s, period 4s, period 5s. We won an Australian Championship with Max Hooper on the period 4 down in Tassie at Simmons Plains. A race with Chrissy Clancy, and she was quite quick. She was very fast, a female rider, and
still is.
She is. She's going really well. So we did a lot with Chrissy. Who else? There's so many guys from the classics. Just Tiny, the Larges, all the Larges. Pete Large, Chris Large, Dave Large. I don't think I did any racing with Mick Large. I may have. I think I rode with Tim Large. Tim and I took the bike out once for a bit. I raced his Max's bike in a handicap one day.
So that would have been really important for you to keep the track time happening, because being a sidecar passenger is something that it is actually really hard to train for, because unless you're out there doing laps, it's hard to kind of go, oh, I can do this particular training and it'll help me in these ways. It's really hard.
Yeah. It's a hard, it's the BMX helped me because I had a good routine from training from that and staying light and strong and fit, good grip strength, that sort of thing. Like for training, I did a lot of boxing. I still do some boxing to keep weight off. I get into the gym and do some things. I'm constantly riding a bike anyway. I'm always on a mountain bike or a BMX or something. So, so we just sort of raced. Anybody that rang and asked if I could race that weekend, I'd just say yes. And it was just great because I'd sort of got to a point with BMX where I was just putting in so much effort and the results just were not coming. And then we went to sidecar racing and everything was just there all the time. Like it was just top results all the time, and it just got addictive. And that was good for going to Europe because, Europe's on the other side of the world and it's fast and it's big and there's more bikes and it's, you just need to keep on the things as much as you can.
Yeah. And what was that experience like when you got over there? Was it a bit of a shock to the system? Because we're talking sort of the mid to late 2010s, which was an interesting time for sidecar grids here in Australia because they hit their ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
But what was it like when you got over to the UK? What was, how did that look?
I honestly didn't do much research about it. I mean, I knew guys of guys that were racing over there. I knew of them or whatever. But I sort of, just before I went, I locked myself in a bit of a hole and almost like a little boot camp. I went out to WA and I worked in the mines for a sign business, and the opposite side of our factory was a gym. And I just trained for 3 months, saved money. And then when I got back, I said, right, I'm going. Said to my parents, it's happening. And I just left, just got on a plane on my own and went over there, and Adam picked me up at the other end. And we sort of, I hadn't seen Adam for a few years, not since he'd been in Oz, a few years prior. So it was all getting to know them or whatever. And then rocking up with the first race was at Ostersleben. So we raced the German IDM Championship and we raced the International Sidecar Trophy. We didn't do the World Championship because we'd only just started together. We'd done 2 meetings in Australia and nothing else. The first one was So we opted for the German championship. We had a mechanic that was helping us from Germany as well, so he helped with the language barrier. Adam lives over there, so he speaks a lot of sort of Austrian Deutsch.
Yeah,
Um,
handy.
so yeah, I rocked up, and I mean, you go to ASBK meetings and stuff, and they're all right. They're okay sized, I guess. I
Yeah.
wouldn't blow them up too much, but they're not massive. When I got to Oschersleben, it was like MotoGP. It was huge.
Yeah, right.
And this was 2018, so we're almost 10 years ago. It's not. It's 8 years ago, whatever. I don't even know what year it is now. It's a while ago, and it was big. There was over 1,000 people living in the paddock. There was race trucks. There was interviews. There was signing sessions. I hadn't seen anything like this before. It was crazy, and they were just obsessed with sidecar racing. The Germans, the French are just fanatic about it. Like, you have race fans over there that they want your signature, and they want to take photos, and they want to watch the races, and they want to know everything about it. We had race meetings in the first year over there where we were putting ropes up on the tent to stop them coming into the tent while we were trying to prepare the bike, because they just want to be a part of it everywhere. It was really, really full on.
That would have been absolutely amazing. Like, we do often talk about how much spectators do love sidecars and get really drawn in by them, but it sounds like it's absolutely next level over there.
Yeah, I mean, we had some meetings. I think from memory, some meetings were only starting at about 38 bikes on the grid. I mean, we don't get anywhere near that here. We might get 6 to 10 at a national round now.
Yeah.
We get more in period 3 at the classics, but
I think we were all stoked that there was, I think it was almost 20 bikes at Festival of Speed started this year, and that's combined classes. And we were all so stoked with that, and because that's the biggest grid anyone had seen in such a long time.
Yeah, well, ours was just F1. It was Formula One sidecar, and I remember some rounds they were starting 38, but maybe 42, 43 rocked up, and they couldn't start some of them. There was too many there. Wow. So, there was like a qualifying time to make the start grid. So
that's amazing.
It was cool to see the level too, because obviously Adam and I we did okay here at the national round, and we thought, oh yeah, like we won the national round, we're going to go over to Europe, we're going to do this and that, no expectations whatsoever, and we qualified 14th.
Yeah, wow.
Which just shows the level difference. There's so, and the time. There's 10 guys on the same second. It's not one person and then a gap and then another. There's 10 people, 10 teams on the same second for the full race. Yeah. So the level is just so much more, but they've got so much more seat time over there too. They're doing maybe 450 kilometers of seat time a weekend. If you finish every session from practice to the last race of the weekend, you're doing 400 plus kilometers a weekend every 2-3 weeks. Where here we're getting 2-3 meetings, and maybe, at Broadford or something, you might get 80 Ks, 90 Ks for the weekend of seat time.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. With the Turner brothers over there at the moment doing the FIM circuit, when they were posting about, it's an 18 lap final race for the weekend, I was like, I've not done more than 6 or 8 laps, I think it is. Like, that's massive. And they're much bigger tracks as well. Yeah,
I remember Oschersleben the first weekend there. I think our first race was a 21 lapper maybe, and the first 15 laps I could see the board I stick my head up, I could just see the board, read the lap count. After 15, I just lost count. I was just like, I just got to try and hang on now for the rest of the race. It just kept going and going and going until we finished.
That really would have been a shock to the system. Like, as I say, you start to get so worn out.
Yeah, I think I was fit enough. Like, I felt fit enough. I'd done so much training. I probably overtrained to a point to make sure that I was going to be right. But it's always going to be different once you get on the bike. You're getting thrown this way and that way and this way and that way, and it's just over and over and over and over again. And then if you get in a little fight, it's just happening all the time. So I think our second race, we ran up the back of, the guys in front of us stalled, and we hit the back of them and smashed our fairing on the side wheel. So I think we ended up DNFing that race. We did half a dozen laps or something. The bike just felt a little bit off. So we pulled in a DNF that race. But we went on to do the full German Championship in 2018 and the Sidecar Trophy. So we raced at some pretty cool tracks around Europe, like historic tracks, and we did Schleiz, which is a road circuit. That's pretty cool.
How many rounds was that? Like, because obviously they get to set up their seasons a bit differently to us, and they've got a lot more tracks available to them on road.
I think there was 6 or 7 rounds in the German Championship that year, and I think there was 6 or 7 rounds in the International Trophy. I think we did about 13 or 14 rounds that year.
Wow. What was some of the standout sort of tracks, or some of the what were some highlights from that year?
Definitely the first race, just being there and being a part of it and getting in the groove and working it all out. I think Schleiz is an awesome circuit. It's between 2 villages. They've shortened it. It used to be a lot longer. It's shortened, and you're going down past a pub and down through these chicanes. There's nowhere for run. If you're going off the track, you're going through the hayfield or through fences or into the village or into the trees or Schleiz is nuts. I love that circuit. I've got some cool onboard footage from there. And the spectators there were nuts. I think 60 or 70,000 spectators that weekend.
Wow,
and parties and DJs on the hill. Like, it was crazy. Schleiz was just a whole nother world. Red Bull Ring was pretty cool. It's the undulation there is actually, and it's quite hilly. You don't see it on the TV when you're watching the MotoGP or whatever, but it's quite steep the first straight, and then a big tight right-hander that goes up again and then down and then up, and then you wind back down. It's super fast, and like Phillip Island, but just steeper, like proper hills.
Elevation is something that is really interesting on a sidecar, isn't it? Like, I've not done anything with a huge amount of elevation, but there are some points where it catches you. Like, people talk about doing Bathurst on sidecars, and I think about, like, I've got to do Bathurst in a car, and I think about the way the pit of your stomach drops as you're going up and down different sections.
Yeah.
That when you get that experience on a sidecar, and you've got to stay holding on because there's nothing stopping you from freaking out and coming off.
Yeah.
It's something else, isn't it?
Croatia was pretty cool. Rijeka, they just had the World Championship there the other week. That's a cool circuit. Assen TT, that's fast and flat and pretty scary coming into the last left-hand turn, and then you come down into the grandstand area as a chicane or an S-bend or whatever you want to call it, onto the main straight. It's quite fast coming into there. It's pretty cool. Lausitz's ring was cool. That's in Germany, and that's an old NASCAR circuit, like IndyCar. So it's banked, and you actually start on the first straight. So the start's actually on a bit of a bank, and then you go to the end of the pit wall and you turn left, and you go infield for a bit, and then you end up on the other side of the track, and then it comes back infield the other way. But that's cool. But you come out the last turn onto this banked wall, not in the corner where it's fully banked, but it's the last bit of the steepness coming out of the corner. You sort of come up sliding onto that, and then you head down this main straight along the wall, on the outside wall, but the pit wall's down there. it's kind of weird. And then you duck that bit, and it's massive. Like the grandstand there, I think 6 stories high on the outside of the track. It is huge. Yeah, we sort of jumped some gates just to try and get up the top to see what the view was like from up there. It was awesome. Yeah. And Zolder Circuit. Zolder Circuit's insane. It's an old Formula One circuit in Belgium, and it's just concrete walls the whole way around. There's a little bit of runoff at turn 1, turn 2, but then you're pretty much in concrete the whole way around. And I actually struggled a bit at Zolder. There's a chicane over the back. You sort of come over this. To get into the track, you go under the tunnel, and you sort of go over that, and it goes left, and then you come down, and there's a real tight right, left, right, and then it sort of goes back up and around. And I kept coming in, and I'd get over for the right, and then I'd get over for the left a bit, and then I'd get over for the right. But we just couldn't carry any speed through, and then we didn't know what we were doing wrong. I thought, well, it's not a full left-hand turn.
Yeah.
So I'm not getting my body weight all the way over, but we just kept messing it up every time. We'd run off the track, whatever. Anyway, we went back into the pits, and Adolf Hanny was there, and he come up to me, and he just told me straight up. He said, "Stop being a girl, and it go full right, full left, full right." He said, "You're being a bitch. You need to do full right, full left, full right." And we went out and did it, and it was so easy, but it was so scary at the same time. You just
quick
just
changes
didn't look right, but it was the only way to get the bike to turn on the left apex all the way around to be able to get the drive back out of it.
Yeah.
What I was doing was just leaving us in the middle of the track. So then I really started to understand. I think that was only round 2 or 3. I really started to understand then, being pretty fresh to the long bikes, that how much the passenger really has to steer the bike too.
Yeah, true.
By turning us tight around that turner to really, and then get back over to get the drive back up the hill. So but that was scary. That was a pretty crazy track. There was just walls either side. You couldn't really stuff up there. I don't know if that's what
I'm thinking as you're talking through some of these tracks, and you're talking about there's walls and there's walls and there's walls, and I'm like, I don't like the sound of that.
I think Europe has a bit different understanding of insurance policies to Australia.
and different ideas around locations for tracks, because when you're talking about them being like through between a couple of villages and then going past all of these different houses and stuff, like slightly off the tangent, but I was only watching one of the Speedway World Cup rounds over there the other night, and they've got a speedway track just in the middle of town, and I'm like, could you imagine if that was here in Australia? You would have so many sound complaints and everybody would have their opinions about it. But over there, it's like, nah, stuff it. We'll just run Speedway a couple of nights every month and it's all sweet.
Yeah, if you're in England, you can ride Speedway almost every night of the week somewhere. It's nuts. It's so full on over there. It's proper. It's good.
No, that's it. How the other half live. So you sort of did your year-long stint, or your 2 championship rounds there in 2018. How did you come away sort of results-wise? Did you manage to stay up there with a competitive time?
Our best finish in the German championship, I think, was a 5th. We got 9 podiums in the other championship. I don't know what we ended up finishing in that championship. In the German one, I think we finished 9th overall. It all came to it was the end round at Hockenheim in race 1. So it was the last race for the whole year. We were flying home not long after. Adam lives over there. Like that was it. It was the last round. We qualified 8th or 9th. And we were having a little bit of setup trouble and stuffing around with the rear of the bike and trying to get it to feel better and all that sort of thing. Anyway, we went out in race 1 and we had the accident. So we red flagged the race. We ran infield quite fast and we just went head on into the concrete wall, and that was the end of the bike and us. So we both got really, really, really lucky. Adam's injuries were a bit worse than mine, but he's fine now. He come good. He took a little bit longer to repair than me. I had quite a big head trauma as well, and it's one of them helmets up there's quite smashed up, but that was pretty much, that was the end of it. Can't really remember much of that weekend. I did check myself out of hospital later that night though. My friend Ronya, she lives over there. She told they took us both to different hospitals. So Adam's wife and his daughter followed where Adam went, but I was on my own. And they'd taken me to a place called Heidelberg Hospital. I remember vague things leaving the track, but anyway, I'm sitting in the room on a bed, spaced out, not really sure what's happening. There's different languages and all that sort of thing. And all of a sudden, Ronya walks in. And I said, "What are you doing here?" She's like, "I've come to pick you up." And I said, "How did you get in?" She told him that she was my sister because it was only family that was allowed in. Yeah. So I speak full-blown Aussie. She speaks full-blown German. So she told him that she was my sister and she came in. But I got really agitated just with what was happening, and I ended up convincing the hospital staff that I need to leave. I can't be here.
Yeah.
So I ended up checking myself out. I could barely walk. My leg was trashed. But yeah, they were worried about the head space, but I couldn't be there. So they made me sign all this paperwork and waivers that I'm leaving. So I left. And yeah, insurance never paid for it. So I ended up wearing that cost, several €1,000 for that trip. So,
Yeah.
but that was just, it was just a shit situation. I got back to the track though, and yeah, sort of stayed up for a bit longer. The guys at the track looked after me, and then I just went to sleep for the night, and that was it. So everything was pretty vague that day. We went and collected the bike the next day, which was just completely banana. It was a complete write-off. And that was it for me and Adam. We haven't raced against with each other since. We haven't had a bike. Obviously, we want to buy a new bike, and we've been trying for years, but they're so expensive, and we just haven't really probably fully committed into getting another one to get back on together.
Yeah, and that's a pretty definitive full stop on things over there. Like both of you came away from it pretty banged up, and the machine as well. Like it's hard to get the headspace back into it.
Yeah, Adam's injuries were a lot longer than mine, so he was well over 12 months in recovery. So, yeah, he wasn't getting back on anytime soon anyway. But we're in daily contact with each other, and we talk all the time. And yeah, he's dead set keen to go racing again. So whether we ever do or not, we'll just have to see what happens, I guess. I mean, a few other things have changed since then. I've had quite a few head injuries since then too. So mentally, I've got to work out if I can passenger again, I guess. That's where my brother will hopefully help me with that. Because I went on to do 2019 as well. So I raced with Scott Laurie. He's from Scotland, and he wears Scott leathers. But me and him jumped on together for 2019. I just got a phone call around Christmas time, said, "You want to come over?" I said, "Yeah, all right, let's do it." So we had a bike off some Slovenians. And
so
I missed
multicultural.
Yeah, I missed the Val de Vienne test week. It's just hard to get over for us because I'm pretty sure maybe the Turners missed it too, or they went over for it as well. But with the gap and licensing and all that sort of stuff from Val de Vienne to the first round, it's just so big. So probably better off staying here.
I think the Turner boys went over and they did it, but that's where DJ came off and broke his
Oh,
hand
that's right. Yeah,
at practice, and then for the first round they called in a replacement passenger to do the first round.
That's that. Yep, I remember that now. Yeah, but for us it was quite a big gap, so it was better to go later. So Scott pulled some strings, and we were able to hire Croatia, the Rijeka circuit, for a weekend, just us. So I got over there, and I'd been through our mechanic from the previous year in Germany. He'd organised me a van, so I got sponsored a van, pulled it all apart, built a little home in it, and that was my plan that year, just to drive around between the rounds and see Europe and travel and get to race as well. So we ended up at Croatia, and we had the worst testing. We blew a gearbox the first day, and then we hired the track the following weekend, and we went back and we blew the engine. And then we went to our Slovenians that were looking after us. We went back to their place in Slovenia and hung out with them for a couple of days. And then we thought, well, we're off to the first round, which was Assen. It was the Ducati Cup. So we entered that, and everything just sort of fell into place on that bike, and we qualified third behind Benny Stroyer and Marcus Schlosser. I think there was about 32 bikes on the grid, and we had a great race. We ended up coming second in that race, so that was pretty cool. It's just like after all the troubles we'd having testing, to get a podium straight away at the first round was pretty cool in the first race.
And what was it like
And
with
it,
your sorry, what was it like with your headspace coming back? Because as we say, you'd had some pretty
oh,
gnarly injuries, and then
well,
you've
as
gone back
soon as I got back
overseas.
on, as soon as I got back on, back home in Australia from the year before, I just got straight back to it and went. It really it's not like long a gap. It was like October till March or
Yep.
something. I was back on again. So it was summer. I was riding, I was training, whatever, and I went back to WA, work, went back on a plane, jumped on the bike, and everything was sweet. I just didn't really think, and I couldn't remember the crash.
That
So
helps.
that helps, I think. If you don't know what happened, just carry on. So yeah, we ended up in an Assen. So we got second in the first race, and then in the second race, it poured down, and it was a very confusing grid start. We had the media grid, and then it started raining, and then one of the guys down the back of the grid decided he'd call it a wet race. So technically, it's a bit weird that he was able to do that, but yeah, everyone's changing their wheels on the grid all of a sudden, delayed start, all that sort of thing. And I said to Scott, I said, "What do you want to do?" And he's like, this isn't rain. And he grew up racing in Scotland. Like, he knows how to ride in the rain. He said,
Yeah.
it's not raining. And it was raining. For me, I thought it was raining. But he was like, it's not raining. So, and this was also my first wet race as well. I'd never raced in the wet in Australia. So,
Wow.
at all, ever. Yeah. So
That's
this was my,
that's pretty impressive.
yeah, this was my first wet race. And Scott just says, we're staying on slicks. You know what to do. And I said, okay, let's go.
I hope so.
Yeah, so we're on slicks on third on the grid, and we had 30 bikes behind us. It's 32 on the grid, and we took off. And turn one, we were like last. Everyone else had grip, and we were on slicks. And it was about an 18-lap race or something, and we just chipped away and chipped away, and we got all the way up to fourth place, 3 laps to go. And we came around turn one, turn two, and one of the back markers moved across, took out our side wheel, and I saw the wheel cover had broken. And so down the straight, because I had to be off for the corners, and then down the straights, I'd hold the wheel arch down, and then we go back into the corner, and then I'd lean back over the wheel arch down the straight back down. But we were going too fast. I couldn't hold it. There was too much wind, and it broke off, and I had to tap him up, and that was it. So, yeah, so that was the second race. So it went downhill again. So, and then we did a few other rounds, and then we ended up in Belgium at the Zolder circuit again. And Tim Reeves had qualified second on the grid, and we'd qualified ninth. And Scott just did the usual pre-chat to me, and he said, "It's all good. We're going with Tim. You know what to do." And I'm thinking, how are we going with Tim? Tim's second on the row, and we're 8 rows back. This is not happening. And anyway, I have a photo in my phone of us going around the outside of Tim into turn one off the start. We're 3 abreast. It's not. I don't know how Scott did it. He just weaved through everything, and all of a sudden we're in bloody second place. Anyway, we settled in the race for fourth, and 3 or 4 laps to go. I was just buggered. I was just out of it, and I ended up getting flicked off the back, and I broke my wrist, and that was my season done. So I ended up helping the team for the rest of the season. We got another passenger, Emmanuelle Clement, and she ended up becoming a world champion, which is pretty cool. Nice. So, yeah, she jumped on, and she'd only just sort of started on the bikes the same time I had. So, yeah, she was there. She was available. We threw her on the bike, and they finished off the season, and I just travelled Europe and partied and did my thing, and then just went to the rounds and helped them change tyres and clean bikes. And then, because I rang my mum. She's like, "You're not coming home. You'll be useless. You'll be sitting around. We'll have to do everything for you. You're all broke, and just stay in Europe." So, I did that. And then 2020, that all happened. 2020, I teamed up with Paul Leglise. He's a French rider. He races with his partner now in the Formula in the, what do you call it, the World Championship. And he and I teamed up. We had this big plan. We were getting sponsors. The French Federation was helping us, so we were getting paid a little bit of money. And then COVID, and that was it. So we never got over there. I remember, it was only a week before I was supposed to fly out or something, and that was it, done, finished. So that sort of just stopped me from racing until my brother got an F2. And then the story starts again with my brother, and we ended up on an F2. We did a couple of club races. We did the first round of the Australian Championship at Winton. We did all right. We just cruised around, and Stuart was sort of getting to know the bike and the feel of it. And I thought, this is awesome. This will just keep me in shape for next year or the rest of this year until I can get to Europe. And that just didn't happen. So Stuart and I ended up teaming up, and Stuart's first national round, he came second. We came second up at Goulburn.
Nice.
And then he just got the bug, and Stuart just stuck with it since then. And so him and I have just done years together over here since COVID started.
Yeah, right. So it was around that time when COVID started that you've picked up the F2, and you've just done sort of what's available around here during those first couple of years of COVID, and then kept it up.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, and my brother's quite a good steerer. I'd like to see him have a go in Europe one day, but I don't know. We'll just see what happens. See what plans out. He's just had a little girl with his partner, so they're pretty busy now. Can't even get him up the farm for a ride at the moment. So anyway, he'll get there. So then 2024, skip forward again. Stu and I, we did pretty well. We're pretty happy with what's happened the last few years on the F2. We ran off the track a few times, and we got a few trophies and had some good fights with other riders on the track. And it was good. And then 24, I got a phone call from Rupert Archer. He's based in England, and he's a world championship rider. And he asked if I wanted to do the world championship in 24. And I said, I just didn't even hesitate. Just, yep, let's do it. So 4 weeks before I was supposed to be over for the first round, I got the phone call. Super underprepared, just like, yep, I'm doing it. It's fine. It's going to be sweet. Got on a plane, went over there, met them up near Birmingham, travelled to... We hadn't had any testing. We'd missed Val de Vienne. We'd missed the Goodwood Revive. We'd been World Championship teams. They select a few to get as an invite to do Goodwood, the members-only one.
Yep.
So we were supposed to do that, but they wouldn't take my license and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so we went to a little track in the north of France, Circuit de Tournai. It's pretty much like Broadford. It's a 60-second long track, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Friday practice was fine. We were lapping fine. We were gelling really well. The bike was going good. We broke the lap record. Everything was perfect until we had that one conversation at the end of the day where it was like, oh, let's just do one more session. And we were so hesitant on it. We were already drinking a cup of tea and eating toast. And we thought, oh, you know what, we'll just go out and we'll do it. And we went out, and there's a chicane there, and we went in to the right and then went to go to the left, and I came across and I just missed my handle, just totally stuffed up. And that injury's really set me back. So I cartwheeled up the bitumen, concussed, broken arm, broken wrist, broken hand, damaged some vertebrae, and then I broke my ankle. I had 9 breaks in my ankle. I broke my heel. I shattered the back part of my heel, like near the below your Achilles, sort of. And I also broke my heel in half. So I had a 12 millimeter gap in my heel. It was completely separated. So
was all that damage down one side of you, or was it sort of spread from arm and leg? Yeah, right.
The
so you've
whole
obviously
right hand.
at some point gone.
Yeah, the whole lot on the right hand side. So and I freaked out. Like I knew I was probably underprepared. It was totally my fault. And I was on the side of the track, and I remember sort of yelling at the marshals, like, I'm in pain, and I like lifted up my arm, and my arm was just like this. It was all over the
Oh,
shop. And the track medical came over, and I'll never ever forget it. I just looked up at them and I said, "Help! Like, help me!" And they looked at me and they just said no English, and I just didn't know what to do. I freaked big time. I couldn't speak to them.
yeah.
They just wouldn't speak English to me. So anyway, we ended up in the medical center. There was no doctor at the circuit at the time, so I had to wait for roughly 2 hours for any sort of painkiller, so
Oh, no.
morphine or anything. By that time, in the actual accident off the side of the track, I lost the feeling in my legs, so I was pretty scared.
Yeah, you would be.
But because I'd lost the feeling in my legs, I couldn't feel my foot, and I just knew when I tried to get off the track there was something wrong with my leg. When I laid down, I got this like weird sensation down my back, and my legs just went tingly, and that was it. I just lost the feeling, and all I could focus on was my hand because it was just my arm and everything. So they put me in the medical center, no pain relief, anything like that. Went to the hospital after a while, and they ended up operating on my arm, it's full of rods and plates and hands full of screws and all that shit
Yeah.
now. And but they didn't put me to sleep. They didn't know when I'd eaten, so they just put my arm to sleep. So I just laid there and I watched them put it all in. It was gross. Yeah, it was pretty wild.
Wow.
See, yeah, it was pretty crazy. And then, but I guess they do that if they don't know what sort of food you've had, when you've eaten or whatever. They just numb you out and in the area they're going to work on.
The weird
Then I
thing is,
woke
I
up.
actually know that they have tablets that they can give you if they don't know that, or maybe that's just here in Australia because I've had to
Didn't know
have
how to
emergency
ask in
surgery and they
French, I
give.
guess.
Yeah, well, that's it. How do you ask in a language you don't know? But that is just
Yeah,
absolutely wild. I can't imagine how I've had, in comparison to everything you've just rattled off, I broke a tiny bone in my hand, and I know how much pain I was in and how weird it was standing on the side of the track, knowing that you've done something's not right. But I could talk to the people that were around me, Dad was. That would have been absolutely terrifying to not have any way to
yeah,
properly communicate, and then to be left like that. Oh my god!
yeah. It was pretty. It was. It was just strange. Like it was just my arm was so sore. I've never felt pain. I've broken bones and all sorts of stuff for years,
Yeah,
BMX and everything, but this hurt. Like it was bad. And my foot just felt like a tree stump. Like it just felt solid and just
yeah,
shit.
yeah.
So once they'd operated on my arm, they sent me back home. The team picked me up. We went back to the track. We swapped out passengers, sat there doing all the paperwork for the guy that had also never done the World Championship. So that was cool. But we drove to Le Mans for the first round because I was still traveling with the team. And they just said that I've got a sprained foot and a broken hand. That's what the French hospital said. So,
Yeah.
but I had to get my dressing changed every 48 hours. And we were at Le Mans for over a week. So I'd go down to the track medical. I'd hop in because I couldn't walk. And I picked up the nickname there, Kangaroo, because I'm hopping in and out of the medical every day or every 2 days. Anyway, it ended up being every day because they had opted that I get another X-ray and a CT scan on my foot. So we did all of that, and they found all the damage in my foot, and they said that you need surgery. Where do you want to have it? I said I want to go home. So I rang the FIM. They flew me home, and I got surgery here, and that was it. It was pretty much 3-4 months, knee scooter, wheelchair bound, and then had to do the whole learning to walk again. And yeah, so now my foot's semi-fused, and I'm missing quite a lot of my heel. So,
Wow.
which is a bit annoying. It still works, but it's daily painful. It's it's just crap. I just wish it wasn't stiff. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that
you just
would be
can't.
so
You just
frustrating.
even if you manipulate it, it gets to a point you just physically can't even move it. So sort of got lucky in a way because I can still walk because I was pretty scared on the side of the track.
Yeah.
But then so I since then I've done me and my brother did a test day running in the engine up at Broadford. And that was all right, but just mentally, I just don't know. And then we have had a conversation in the last probably 24 hours that we are going to race again soon. So, but we're just going to use it as a test to see if I still mentally can get my head around wanting to passenger. Because it was a lot to take in, and I'm not getting any younger, and I don't really want to break any more bones like that. So I don't want to end up in that situation again. I've been in and out of hospital so many times with sidecars now, so especially in Europe, I've given them a fair go. We're just going to see. We'll just play it safe and go and turn a few laps at the local at Broadford, and just see if it's worth it anymore, or if I do try and start driving instead, and we try and find another passenger for my brother, and just not sure what to do yet until we have another go.
Well, that's it. You've got to get in and give it a crack. Like you know, as we have said a few times, sidecar racing's in your blood, and it's really hard to give it up completely. I am kind of fascinated. Just before we sort of move on a little bit from the European adventures, and I don't mean this to come across as something that sort of discounts your talent and your skill and your ability, but it really intrigues me that you kept on getting phone calls from over the other side of the world to come over and jump on the side. Is there a shortage of people that are willing to be a passenger, or did you just make such an impression on the guys over there? Like, that's a pretty big deal.
I don't know. Adam and I did pretty well the first season we were over there, and I made a lot of friends. I guess you become like you're in the know sort of thing, in a bit of the clique of what's going on. But I had when I was over there in 2018, I had the Birchells helping me a lot as a passenger, especially Tom. Tom and I got along really well. Paddy Rosny and I, he was racing with Lewis Blackstock at the time, but they were in my corner sort of helping me with what to do. Adolf Haney was helping me. He's a world champion. Benny Stroyer. So I think the era that I went through Europe in 2018, 2019, I think I was in at a pretty good time. I was quite fit, keen to just go. And Kevin Russo, Emmanuel Clement, Kevin Kolsch were all passengers. Lucas Schmidt, he was actually a photographer at the track when I was racing, and now he's a passenger in the World Championship, which is pretty cool. But in that group of people, there's a few that aren't racing. Ferry Seegers are still racing. We sort of all were sort of on the list to change around if somebody needed someone. It was almost like a change in passengers in that era, where some of the older guys were starting to move out and there was this new wave of people coming in. Maybe that helped with half decent results. That helps to swing you through the right people to keep having a go. I guess if I had been over there more, I would have hopefully ended up on some of those bikes, or had a go over there with some of the top runners in the world. We raced against them. We banged bars with Benny and Schlosser and Tim and all those sort of guys. It was awesome. So I guess that helps when you're racing against the world champions or previous or ex-world champions or whatever, and they're looking for the next passenger or whatever. They are looking at you because you're right there banging bars with them on somebody else's bike. So you sort of, just get shifted around. And not long after I finished 2019, 2020, there was another big passenger change that I noticed. A lot of teams swapped around all of a sudden. Everything got changed. And now the last couple of years...
Musical chairs.
It is. Yeah, we get around. but it's sort of settled now for the last couple of years. Everyone's sort of set with their passengers. But there was a lot of changing back then. It was people coming off that bike, or that bike would blow up, so you jump on that bike. Like, there was changing all the time. Passengers getting injured. And since then also, 1,000 cc's are not in the World Championship. They're running the 600s now, which was another big step. So when I went in 2024, I hadn't been on the F600. I'd only been previously I'd have been on a 600 here, but not in Europe, only the 1,000.
Yeah,
So
right.
it's totally different again from passengering on 1,000 to a 600. There's a lot more work that the passenger has to do, especially through the corners. The corner speed's
Yeah.
a lot faster than 1,000, so the lap times are quicker. Even though you don't have the speed at the end of the straight or whatever, the corner speed is just so much faster. So
Yeah.
it's a whole different way of passengering again.
And you might have done a little bit better in that race meeting where you went out in the not wet, if you were on a 600, because I'm led to believe, and from watching a bit of the F1 F2 action, especially around here, the F2s seem to do a little bit better. They seem to fare a little bit
Yeah,
better.
I guess they're a little bit more
600
agile
cc's.
in the wet. They group
Yeah.
up a little bit better and not as high powered, I guess. But yeah, so I think you just got to be in the know, really. I guess
Yeah.
that's kind of what happened when I first had to go with Adam. Is over the next few years, everything sort of went well. Like you got offered a lot of rides all the time, off a lot of bikes in a lot of different category, like every category you can think of. Over here, we had a go at. Jeff Grant. I raced with Jeff Grant over in New Zealand, and Shiva. I was on Shivo's TZ with Matty McKinnon.
Nice.
And we qualified third on Shivo's TZ over there with 28 F1s and F2s. You know, that thing was just a dream machine to ride on. And Matty can steer as well. He's unbelievable. So, yeah, it was just, you sort of in the know. I mean, there's passengers out there now in Australia that are unreal. Lee Menzies, he's an unreal passenger. I mean, Jamie's gone on from racing with Terry, and he's steering now, and he's so fast. And he's got Lee on the side, and Lee's got so much resume from racing on F1s and other bikes, and now he was on the F2 with Jamie, and now he's on the F1 again with Jamie, and he just knows so much. Like he'd be, you know, when you're looking for if I ever steered or something like that, there's the sort of people you're looking at. You're looking at people like Lee or Amanda Williams. She's another good passenger that you're thinking, oh, who are we going to pick? Like, what happens? Like, how do we find someone? Because you have the come and try days, and you might get one or two that'll stick around for a bit, but it's hard to find someone that will actually commit to do the seasons with you. I guess that's why I've done a lot with my brother for so long now too, is because who do we put on? Like, who does Jamie put on? Who does Paddy Clancy put on? Like he's got Steve Bonney, who I don't know how Steve just keeps hanging on, but he does a great job.
He is phenomenal, yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, there is the changes aren't as drastic with passengers in Australia because we don't have the numbers here. But back then, it was swaps all the time. It's almost like who you riding with this weekend? Like, what's happening? So
yeah, well, that's it. It is interesting. Like, and even back in the 90s, when when I was hanging around the tracks, you'd have some pairings that would just stick, and then there were others that would just constantly shift. And I guess it's just the nature of the relationships and what was working and what wasn't.
Yeah, you got to gel right. I guess me and Adam we got on the bike and it just worked. We didn't have any worries whatsoever from the start. And Adam was quite good at bringing up to pace. He wasn't on and just full gas. Where racing with Scott, Scott's an unreal driver. He's so fast, but he's flat out like we're going, and you're hanging on. But that's a mentality over there at that level. Tim, Scott, those guys, Marcus Schlosser, people like that. If you're jumping on at that level, you need to know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, there's no point being there.
Yeah,
you're just going to get pulled out the back or something. I mean, and that's what happened to me in 2024. I hadn't had enough of practice, and I screwed up in the last session and ended up out the back. So,
and hindsight being 2020, maybe you shouldn't have gone out for that last run. You weren't too sure about it, but you can't change these things.
Could have tapered off for the weekend and just finished the weekend, but build our way up and do it. But that's what they're looking for at that level. They want a passenger that can just get on and go.
Yeah.
They're spending so much money. Yeah.
Absolutely. So you mentioned you've raced period 3, period 4, period 5. You can't remember about period 6. F1s and F2s.
Yeah.
Is there one of those style of or era of outfits that if you could only race one, what would it be and why?
I loved racing on Max Hooper's Honda 4.
Yep.
That thing's unreal. That's so smooth and fast and I've steered that thing too. It's just so nice to ride. Um, probably period 4, I think.
Yeah.
You can hang out the bike a bit more, and you can get a bit lower to the ground and a bit more scary, I guess. And
Yeah.
yeah, period 3 is great. I reckon period 4. If I could stick in period 4, that'd be cool.
Yeah, because that's it. You do still have, you're still front exit on those, so you've still got that,
Yeah.
challenging element in the moving around, and you've got that bit more power, and they're just a lot of fun.
Yeah, you've got the power and the stopping ability and things like that.
Yeah.
Whereas the P3 can be a bit more unpredictable, and the F2 can be just stop. So,
Yeah.
I mean, they're running the P4s at the Southern 100 now because they've canned the moderns. So,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. They're still at events and they're still capable to get round quite reasonably quick too, between a P3 and a modern. So, I would say P4 definitely.
So you've also sort of mentioned in passing, we've talked a lot about road racing, but you've also done a little bit on speedway. How did that come about?
So Max Hooper has got a classic speedway outfit, and he just rang me one day and said, "Do you want to come up and have a go?" So the Harley Dirt Club up here and the Sidecar Club of Victoria, the dirt track, they run dirt track events with speedway sidecars. I haven't been on a modern one yet. I'd love to get on a modern one, but haven't really had the opportunity. But yeah, I jump on with Max sometimes at the club rounds and that, and just do a bit of classic speedway. And I've also been lucky enough through that as well. A few rides with Max has put me on Doug Cottrell's bikes, the bigger Vincents and the Japs and stuff. So
Nice.
we're actually on one of them a few weeks ago at Bonanza, which was quite cool. And they're just a beast of a thing. They're just an unreal monster. And they're just made to go fast. They're not made to ride round. We found that out too. Me and Max took one out and we got a bit wobbly on the first couple of laps and ended up infield because they're just – Max will go out and he'll do a lap to sort of find the groove and then he'll get into it. And, but the big old Vincent didn't agree with us and just wanted to throw us off. So the idea was to come out and just get going. But yeah,
Dear.
done a little bit of classic speedway riding as well.
How do you find that? Because it always intrigues me. I've started having a lot of offers because I've only ever done road. I've started having a lot of offers to go and have a go on dirt. And I don't know how I'd go. Like, how do you find it?
I find it cool. It's fun. Yeah, you sort of just the G-forces with the bike and, yeah, you just sort of stand there. But, I mean, I haven't been on a modern, so I couldn't relate. But you sort of just, as you come into the turn, you just fall over the seat and you reach right round to the front end of the bike and grab the handle. And then as you pull back out, you just sort of slide back into the bike. It's actually not too bad. As long as the rider has got the thing going at a decent speed, then you'll just fall into place and you'll be able to lift yourself back up and you'll just fall back in again. It just sort of works in motion. Probably kind of like a P3 sidecar. It just sort of works. You're not as much steering the thing on a P3, I don't think, as you would on an F1 or an F2, but you just sort of fall into position.
Yeah,
it's kind of
nice. It does end up that is definitely one of the things that I wonder about because people wonder how you get in position on period 3s and period 4s where you've got to move from front to back, and they're like, but how do you do that while the bike is moving? And the inertia and the the G-forces, they end up working with you more than you would realize. And I imagine that would be the case on the speedway outfits.
Yeah, I reckon. Yeah. Like I said, I haven't been on a modern one as of yet, but I'm sure it works something similar. But the classics are fun. They're big and loud and beastie and good fun. They get a good slide on them.
And that's what you want
all the time. Hey?
And that's what you want, the big and loud and people paying attention. I was loving watching, there was the Mildura Classic was on over the June long weekend, and I was loving watching some of the old machines getting around there. It was great.
Yeah.
So you're a man who's done a lot. You've said that you're kind of looking at getting back out there. You'll just see how it goes. Is there anything in Australia, but also internationally, that you would love to be able to just tick the box that you haven't yet?
Yeah, World Championship. Like
Yep.
I raced BMX at the World Championship, and I've always had a bit of a goal to do 3 disciplines at World Championship level.
Yep.
So that's still one I want to tick off. Right now, I don't care if it's one race or one round or a full season or whatever. But I just want to tick it off. Just get one
Yep.
race, one meeting done in the World Championship, and obviously the TT. A
Yeah.
couple of times I've prepared. I've passenger notes. Patrick Farrance was helping me a lot back in the day as well, and he he yeah, has helped me with things like that and studying notes and all that sort of thing. But injuries or COVID is, I mean, COVID's
Yeah.
a big excuse for everyone, but it was at the time that sort of halted my overseas stuff. And the injuries just, getting that opportunity to happen again is not coming
Yeah.
very fast. And now
No,
that I've
that's
been off the bike for so long too, as you were saying before, like you sort of get a phone call from over there to jump on the bike. That won't happen now.
yeah.
I'm so far out of the game overseas at the moment that's just not going to happen. I'd have to get back over there, show up, do some rounds, prove
Yeah.
yourself again that you're still capable, and then hopefully you get those opportunities again. But yeah, depends how serious you want to take it, I guess. Uh,
Yeah.
just see
I
what
did. I
happens.
did wonder. I did wonder, as you were saying before, like whether you did make it to even just to watch it Isle of Man, because that's one that I've talked to a few guys on here who have done Isle of Man, and then especially after this year's one, it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening with it next year. Like they obviously
Yeah,
pulled the sidecars after a couple of pretty gnarly incidents, and just got to see what happens.
yeah. I guess regarding the incidents, the 2 guys that have had the big crashes at Crosby Leap are doing 119 mile an hour lap.
Yep.
The rest of the grid's quite, they're a lot slower than them at the moment. I don't know how you can avoid it. You can change aerodynamics and do all sorts of things, but people will find a way around it. The Crow brothers found a way around it this year by they implicated all their new rules to try and slow them down a bit, but they found a way around it, and that'll always happen. Same with MotoGP going to the 850s or whatever. They'll go faster than what they are now. It's just how it works. That's the whole idea. Go back and then develop again.
Yeah.
Personally, like I've been thinking about it. What do you do? Will we ever get to do the TT? Is that gonna happen? But maybe a mandatory chicane or something before Crosby or
Yeah.
something to slow him down. Or someone I know it doesn't really race said mandatory stop point, but you can't stop. You
No,
can't have a
that is.
stop point. But you could
Yeah.
have. I can't remember the circuit very well. I haven't been over there for a couple of years, but you could potentially have a slowdown point where the bikes are forced to slow down at some of those fast sort of jumps
Yeah.
where they could potentially end up in danger. You implicate all your other
Yeah.
rules and just have some slowdown points for the sidecars. And unfortunately, that just to keep them there, that might have to happen.
Yeah, well, that's
Um,
it. Like in NASCAR and stuff like that, they have things like the competition cautions and stuff like that. So, not saying to
mm,
slow down the entire grid, but as you say, have some points where you throw out the yellow, pull them back a little bit just before they get to it.
yeah,
Like
just
I
butt
was
them off a
listening.
bit.
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast that I was listening to it after the sidecars had already been pulled, but it was a TT podcast that was recorded and released beforehand that had the Crow brothers on it. And as you say, they were talking about how they'd had the bike at the dyno at the shop, and there was something like 6 or 8 engine changes they'd done over
Yeah.
a weekend of trying to test just to get, as you say, these new rulings that have been put in place and work them to the absolute nth degree of what they can achieve.
Yeah, well, that's the idea because obviously the Birchells have got lap record there, and the next person that's close wants to beat that. So the
Yeah.
only way to do that is to find and develop some way around the new implicated rules to something else to go faster. We just want to go fast, so they're going to slow us down. Go faster. Same with the
That's
600s. They put the 600s in the long bikes, and they 3 seconds a lap quicker because the corner speed's there now. not just fendering
Oops.
around the corner. You're flat out through the corner. So they're always going to find a way.
Yeah.
It's just natural. It's what we do. You
Yeah.
develop. Mm.
Absolutely. And I think saying that we'll find a way, hopefully you absolutely find a way to get back out there, because we'd love to see you out racing again, and hopefully you can find the
Yeah,
confidence and the outfit and the comfort to be able to do that.
yeah, that'd be the plan. We'll just chip away. I'm currently racing BMX again at the moment, just to have routine in my life, because got pretty lazy
Yeah.
not having them to race for. I do a little bit of two-wheel racing as well, but it just hasn't been as competitive or um, a bigger drive for it since the last
Yeah.
accident. So I said, well, maybe I just need to go back to the start. So I jumped back up on a BMX about 2 months ago, and I had the nationals the other week, and now qualified for the world championship. So I've got the world championship in a couple of weeks up in Brisbane. So we'll get that
Wow.
out of the way, and then work out what's next after that. Whether we I don't know where it takes me. Back
I
racing,
love it.
hopefully over there, but it just takes time. It's
I love that
age
you
too. We're not getting any younger, so
yeah.
we don't fall like we used to. I've got quite a number of broken helmets and shit now, so a lot of good times too. There's plenty of good results and fun
Yeah.
times and good laughs and all that sort of thing. But yeah, I really want to get back overseas. I did say when I crashed and had the accident that that's it, but it
Yeah.
doesn't work like that.
No.
Yeah, it's too hard to just fully step away.
Well, that's it. And there is the element of it's always sort of going to be in the back of your head what could have been. So you just want to
Yeah,
get back out there and just see how it's all going to end up.
yeah, yeah. Maybe that's my story road, or maybe I got more. I don't know, but it would be nice to get some more solid results with my brother too on the F2. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, yeah, a bit more in his book would be good. Um, yeah, and just keep Dad happy with his old visa. But and we'll just see what me and Adam can do. Who knows? We talk about it all the time, but yeah, it just comes down to funds, really. I mean, you can always get someone to maybe help buy a bike or do something like that for you. It's the best part of $100,000 a sidecar. They're
Yeah.
not cheap, and they're not cheap to crash. Um, but we want to buy our own. We don't want to be having to pay someone back or buy it off
Yeah.
them or crash their bike or whatever. We want our own bike, and that's just going to take time.
Yeah. No,
So
absolutely. And, if that's what it takes, then you just got to roll with it. But it's been a fantastic chat with you, Brad. Probably should wrap it up. I think that there may
yeah,
be a second or third or whatever we call it chapter when you guys get back out there. It'll be really awesome. Would be really awesome to see.
yeah, sweet. No worries. Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks heaps and good luck with the BMX in a few weeks' time.
Cool. Thanks. Hope I don't end up on my head.
Yeah, that's a good goal for the weekend, I say. Thanks once again to Brad for jumping on and sharing all of those moments with us. It's cool to have someone who's so honest about how difficult racing can be after you've had injuries. It's not just about jumping back on the bike. And kudos to Brad for still being determined to get back out there and win some titles with his brother. It'll be really cool to see them get back out on the grid. Speaking of grids, our episode ends with a rundown of upcoming race meetings. If you have something to add, please make sure you're getting in touch so that we know the details, and listen through to the end of the episode to hear what's going on around you.
Please look up event promoters for details of the following race meetings. Round 2 of the South Australian Road Race Championships will be at the Bend on July 4 and 5. The New South Wales Dirt Track titles will be hosted by Griffith Motorcycle Sports Club on July 4 and 5. The 24-hour trial will test entrance at Kapunda in South Australia on the weekend of July 10 to 12. After a year in limbo, the Big Chill will roar into Morgan Park on July 11 and 12, hosted by Queensland Early Motorcycle Sports Club. The Akubra Classic will feature dirt track sidecars on July 18 and 19. 6 entrants are needed to keep the class running at the event, hosted by Mickley District Motorcycle Club. Bye.